Dan Campbell talks about the hardest roster cuts this week, and Brad Holmes talks about if the Detroit Lions are a playoff team or not. Hello, everyone. My name is Derek, and welcome to Detroit Lions Syndicate. If this is your first time here, we talk all things about the Detroit Lions. So if that's your type of thing, then subscribe to the channel. That notification bell after you subscribe is to make sure that these videos get in your notification feed. And then that way you won't have to look for them. They'll be right there for you to see. The Detroit Lions had to get from 80 to 53 men between Sunday and Tuesday, and it was very difficult for Dan Campbell to do. Now, right now, we have 15 players on the practice squad, and all of those players were part of that original 27 that got cut. We did lose a few. David Blau decided to take his talents to Minnesota, or depending on how you look at it, lack thereof, and Khalil Pimpleton went to the New York Giants. But we saw from Hard Knocks, and we'll see this Tuesday, how hard it is to cut players, how emotional our coach is going to be. You could see him crying on the bus when it was a few tears coming out his eyes when he was on the phone knowing that the cuts was coming up. And a lot of people that we thought would make the team did not. And then some of those people were added back to the practice squad like Tom Kennedy and such. But Dan Campbell had a question and answer with season ticket holders. There's one that you probably all know of, Sweta Patel. She's very known on Twitter. She actually had her story told by the Lions. I want to say it was last year. You probably can go look it up. It was about a 2 or 3 minute video about how she became a fan. And she was one of the people that got to ask Dan Campbell a question. And during that Q&A, I guess Dan Campbell was asked, what was the hardest thing about roster cuts? Let's see what he had to say. This comes from Sweta Patel's Twitter. Make sure you guys go give her a follow. In the virtual Q&A with Dan Campbell today, he said Derek Barnes and Josh Reynolds are the most improved players on the team. He also said roster cuts for running backs and Tom Kennedy and wide receiver were the hardest ones for him. I will try to leave the link for that tweet feed in the description. It was more questions that was asked, and I think she listed a ton of them. And it was some very entertaining stuff, so make sure you guys check it out. But he says that wide receiver Tom Kennedy was the hardest cut to make in the wide receiver room. And I can see that because it was nothing but praises for Tom Kennedy before the roster cuts had to be made. I was surprised that nobody picked up Tom Kennedy and we were able to include him back on the practice squad, but that's okay because if somebody goes down, then Tom Kennedy will be able to step up just like he did last year. So make sure you guys check the description for that Twitter feed from Sweta Patel. She's super awesome, diehard Detroit Lions fan, and it is awesome. Go check it out. And more takeaways from Brad Holmes and Ray Agnew's press conference yesterday. It ran for about 34 minutes, and the media, it's the end of the training camp session that they have every year. And in that session, Brad Holmes was asked if he thinks that the Detroit Lions roster has enough talent to make the playoffs. Here's what he had to say. This information comes from SI.com. We'll just take it 1 week at a time, said Holmes. Again, if we have the right mentality and we control what we can control, then we'll just see what the results are going to be. We're not going to be this win or that win team. We're just going to control what we can control. With that same mentality, we stay aligned and we're competitive each week, but we're very optimistic. That sounds a lot like general managers speak to me, not going too far in one direction. We're going to suck or that we're going to make the playoffs. That is why you have YouTube creators like myself to actually voice our opinion because we can speak the way we want to and we don't have to be PC about the stuff that we say. You always get the truth from me and what I actually believe. It's funny because last year I had us at 6-11 and we went 3-13-1. But if you flip a couple of those games, then what are we? We're 6-11. But that's the realm of shoulda, coulda, woulda. And as Detroit Lions fans, we live in that space. But hopefully we don't have to do it for too much longer. Brad Holmes says that they got to take it week by week, and that way they stay aligned. I like that type of thinking, not looking too far ahead in the future, because if you do that, sometimes you get distracted. So that's the way that the Detroit Lions keep their blinders on, stay focused, always looking not too far ahead, but just looking at your next opponent and taking it 1 week at a time. So since Brad can't say it, I'll tell you what I think. I've already done a way too early record prediction, and I think a post-draft record prediction, but this week coming up, we'll do our official record prediction, and I'm going to go ahead and stand by that. But that's why you have us YouTube personalities, because we can say things that they can't. Some of the times we are way wrong, but some of the times we are very right. You guys tell me what you think of Brad Holmes not wanting to put too much stock in the team and say they're going to make the playoffs? And how do you feel about Dan Campbell saying that Tom Kennedy and the running backs were the hardest to cut? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My name is Derek. This is Detroit Lions Syndicate. Hopefully by the time you see this video, we're at 5,100 subscribers. I got a new goal. By the end of September, I'm hoping to see 6K, and I have a bit of what I think is awesome news for you guys. We will be streaming the Detroit Lions games on this channel. I will be doing it on my other one as well simultaneously, so we will have the best of both worlds. If you're at work, you are out of town, out of state, or out of country, I bring in game audio, and you can get your Detroit Lions fix if you can't watch the game. I call it the best way to watch the game if you can't watch the game. We have 9 days until the Lions take the field against the Philadelphia Eagles. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself, and as always, go Lions.